Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Writer's Hive, where we meet bi-weekly to discuss the writing and publication process with you in the hopes of creating a writer's hive mind. Today, we are going to be discussing finding your writing community. We're going to discuss today different ways that we connect with writers and authors, and Katlyn is going to be starting us off.
I thought it was appropriate, since we're on YouTube, to talk about YouTube and authortube. In case you knew nothing about it, here on YouTube there is a community of writers and authors who talk about their writing process. I started my channel in 2019, and I basically started off with vlogs. I sort of put myself out there, talked about my writing process, what I was working on at the time, and through putting out those videos, I sort of found others who commented, and then I went and searched out their videos as well, and sort of built a community here on YouTube. We have all participated in the Worldwide Write-a-thon, so that is sort of a culmination of all of the years that we spent here on YouTube. And that's basically a free resource. As long as you have some sort of smartphone, you can upload to YouTube. And if video or audio is something that you like to do, if you are a graphic designer and like to put videos up, I do admit there is a bit of a con when it comes to that, because it's not really like a lot of social platforms where there's a lot of engagement outside of the comments. Other than that, you can do, live videos and stuff. But another sort of free process is critique groups. You can easily look up critique groups online in different forums. You can find writers who write in your genre. I believe years ago, I found some critique partners on Twitter. I'm not sure if that's still the case or what hashtags are out there, but it's definitely worth a look. Speaking of socials, Facebook has a great community. I know people find it difficult to be on Facebook, but the only reason I go on Facebook is to check out a lot of the author groups that I'm in. In particular, there is 20 books to 50K, wide for the win if you are a wide author, which means you don't just publish in Kindle Unlimited. I have found those resources to be amazing. And also there is a great community in each of these groups, among many other groups, that you'd be able to sort of talk about your process and maybe meet some friends and things like that. I've also joined some critique groups on Facebook. And then in terms of some paid organizations, I had previously been in Romance Writers of America and the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, also known as SCBWI. Those are fantastic resources to find your community. They have, I don't think they're doing in-person events quite yet. They're still doing Zoom, but prior to everything happening, there were a lot of in-person events, and I met so many friends, including Katie, who was on a few weeks ago when we were talking about discovery writers. That's just a jumping off point. Amber, do you have any more to add?
I feel like I also have met probably the most amount of friends for writing in person, whether it's in writing events, or even just book events in general. I actually met a writer friend of mine standing in line to get books signed by Jay Kristoff. We were standing in line next to each other to get our books signed, and we just started talking about being writers, and we kind of started talking on Twitter, and it went from there, and now they're a fellow friend. Met people online through other people's videos and their comments, and started, sitting with them and writing with them. Places like Highlights, I've met writers where other writers are there. I feel like there's just so many writer events in person now that things are starting to lift a little bit. Maybe we could start getting out and doing those things a little bit more. I think YouTube videos are probably, if you watch authortube videos and you go to the comments, you will see other people there that are authors or aspiring authors, and it's easy to just comment and kind of start up a conversation because they can't see you, and there's no harm. And because I know a lot of authors are introverts, so it's kind of hard sometimes to put yourself out there, but it's worth it when you find somebody that can help you and understand your process. And even meeting Katie through mutual friends. So if you have friends, say, what are some authors that you hang out with? Maybe we could become mutuals all together. That has been helpful, having another mutual especially that writes in a similar way that I do. So that has always been helpful. And I know Julie's going to talk about Discord, but I don't utilize it as much as I should. But there's definitely a lot of writers on Discord too.
My writing community really has been online, and I've been very lucky to find a lot of writing friends online. turn those writing friends that I met virtually into in-person, friendships or deeper friendships. But I think that one of the best things that you can do for yourself as a writer is to engage in the community. And I did the same thing when I was growing a blog or a magazine. Is you go to people's comments, you make a habit out of commenting, and the more that they see your name, the more other people that comment on their videos see your name, the more it's like, oh, hey, I know you. I spent this entire week leading up to filming this in different sprints. And I had the week off. So I was in, I just went to YouTube and searched sprints and then live and went to reading sprints from a whole bunch of different people, made sure that I was commenting, made sure that I was encouraging other people with their word counts. And then, throughout the week, they'd be like, oh, Julie's back, like how's this going? How's that going? How's this draft coming? And it's really nice to be able to support one another. I know that we've built a community around our Sunday sprinting. And then from there and our Writers Hive videos, we've created a Discord, which is linked down below, where we have opened it up to people who maybe are in different time zones. If they want to set up their own sprints, if they want to discuss querying, self-publishing, if they want to talk about their works in progress or a writer's block that they're having, or just general writing chats. I do think that taking the time to find your writing community is worth taking the time. I think it's worth the effort. What you get back from having a group of writers around you really is worth the time that it takes, away from the work to be able to build that up. And if you happen to be able to build that community and those friendships through writing sprints or through productive things as well, then all the more the better. You already have shared interests and you already understand one another, and something that not a lot of people understand. We're not difficult people to get to know. So I think that it's important to kind of, reach outside your bubble and make those connections where you can. One of the other things that I think would be really cool is if more people did the Clifton Strengths tests. There's a whole community there for Becca Syme and Write Better Faster. And there's definitely people there that hone conversations around different strengths for writers specifically. So that's another community that you might be able to find some people there that understand you, who write like you or who think like you or hit the same stumbling blocks as you because they have the same type of structure to their writing or to their personality.
And we also didn't mention NaNoWriMo, which is a huge writer event that takes place in November and also has sort of spin-off camps in April and July every year. I know the last time I participated was prior to 2020, and there were so many live events in my area. So if you go into NaNoWriMo website, they have forums with your regional chapters. And, I was fortunate enough to have someone like very active who was running mine. Step out of your comfort zone a little bit. Publishing is really stepping out of your comfort zone when it comes to, putting your heart and soul out there. So if you're wanting to find an in-person community, that's also a good place to start as well. And I did want to jump off of what Julie said in terms of commonality. I know that we are introverts, and I found it in my younger years difficult to speak to people about it. But you have to realize that being a writer is like sort of just a part of us. And when you can sort of meet a kindred spirit who's, it's also a part of them as well, and they love story and they love telling stories, like that's something that right away you can talk about, and then you can, sort of start off a conversation there. So I would say if you are a little nervous, as Amber said, you could reach out online through a friendly comment on someone's video or post or anything like that, and just sort of build relationships that way. I believe that's how Julie and I started to become friends through YouTube and everything like that, and then Amber as well. So I think it's definitely worth it if you just sort of take a chance. And that's the whole thing about community, is sort of building up your tribe and succeeding together.
Yeah, me and Julie actually also met online. It was just before YouTube. It was kind of a blogging situation where we were both bloggers and had commented and seen each other's, content around. And then we did like a blog swap tour thing, and they paired us together. And when we didn't instantly become best friends, but we were friendly. And it wasn't until years later that we really both were ready to take, like writing fiction novels seriously, that we kind of started talking on Twitter, which there's a huge community of writers on Twitter. It just kind of went from there.
For the question of today's episode, we would love to know where you are in your writing process. Let us know down below so that we can cheer you on and celebrate any successes or help you along the way. And if you have any fantastic tips or tricks for finding community, definitely leave those in a comment down below as well. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Writer's Hive. I never get this right on the first try. Okay. Today's the day. We can do that now and then add it in. I can add it into the beginning. I'll just segue into it. Really.
How do you do that? Just kidding.
I'm like, I fucking answered you.
You're like, developer, how can I help you?
Done that? Do you know what I mean?
I always check it because of that one time.
You do it one time and then nobody trusts you anymore.